Hi, it's November 13th, 2017, and I pulled up an old project and I've got a little bit different local storage code for this one. As you can see, I'm using a table. I've got table headers and table data cells. I've got two buttons. I've got a special div inside of this particular section here to the left, which gives us an angled day of the week. And let's see, for each row, like this is the Sunday row, I have 4 columns, and I just named them 1, 2, 3, 4. You could change it to whatever you want. And it goes all the way down to Saturday, so from Sunday to Saturday. What the functionality does is you can type something in any of these table data cells. Hello there, cutie pie. You click your save button and you get an alert box, and I use alert boxes for testing purposes because we're using a for loop, and in the first iteration of the loop it's going to handle the first table data cell. So after it does that, we get an alert box that says, hi, iteration 1, hello. Well, it says hello because that's what I typed in the first one. When I click this OK button, we're going to go to the second iteration, and it's going to deal with this second table data cell. Hi, iteration 2, there. And another thing that happens in Firefox, because I put in the code that it would also change the font color to red, well, it works for Firefox, but when I try to do the same thing in Chrome, for some reason the color doesn't turn red. So maybe there's a different syntax for Chrome, but in any event, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Anyway, you click OK, hi iteration 3, cutie, and hit OK, hi iteration 4, pi, hit OK again, and I didn't put anything in any of the rest of these table data cells all the way down. They're all blank. So we don't get a pop-up box giving us what the value of those are because we didn't put a value in any of these. Remember, local storage works with key value pairs. We have keys that represent each of these table data cells, and if we didn't put a value to match the key, then we're not going to have anything to output with the alert box. Now, I've saved it. I can refresh the page, and I have a reload function, a body on load function. If we look here on line 13 of the HTML file, it says body on load equals load my stuff. Well, one of the things that happens with load my stuff is it changes the color of the text to blue. And one of the things that happens with the save it, when you click the save it button, is that it turns the color of the text to red. So you see the difference between the save it function and the load my stuff function. One more thing, when we choose the remove all button, you click it, you get an alert box that's asking if you're sure. Well, actually, it's not an alert box, it's a confirm box because it gives you 2 button choices, not just one. If you click cancel, you get another box that says no changes were made. This is the alert box because it only has 1 button, which is the OK. But if you were to click remove all again and you get the confirm are you sure, if you click OK, then it actually will erase everything in all of the table data cells. If every single one of these were full and you clicked remove all and you confirmed OK that you did want to do that, you would erase everything off the board. If you save something, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Okay, so you're going to save this, and again, the alert box is just for testing my program code. It's all red. Now you hit remove all. Are you sure? Cancel. no changes were made. But let's say you did want to remove lunch. You didn't want to remove all of it. You just wanted to remove one. You can just highlight it and back out of it. Then when you save it, watch the iterations. High iteration 1 breakfast, okay. It jumps straight to high iteration 3 dinner, okay. High iteration 4 snack. So there's two ways that you can erase data in this table. You can highlight and back out of a specific cell, or you can use your remove all to delete everything. So I've showed you how this functions. Now let's show you the code for the HTML file, and then let's show you the code for the CSS style sheet file, and then lastly let's show you the JavaScript that shows you the action, how all three of these files work together to make this work. So first we're going to look at, I named this page jobjournal.html because I was going to do a job application, 4 job applications every day, and then I was going to put the information for each one in each one of these cells, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That was the concept behind making the page. So anyway, that's why I named it jobjournal.html. You can name it anything you want. Okay, here's the opening HTML tag, which of course you know the closing HTML is going to be all the way to the bottom. There's 197 lines of code here because I did leave some spaces for readability here. Okay, so back up at the top, there's the opening and closing head tag. In between the head, opening and closing head tags, we've got our opening and closing title, and it says Job Journal, and that's what you could see up here in the tab. The next thing we've got right here is link rel equals shortcut icon, href equals box / smile.bmp, type equals image / x icon, and then you close up that link. What that does is it points to this little smiley face that I made in Paint. So it just puts a little icon up here in the title area in the tab of your browser. The next little section we've got link rel equals style sheet, type equals text / css, href equals box / style.css. And we'll go over the style. It's right here. We'll go over the style file after we finish the HTML file. Okay. Next we have script, language equals JavaScript. src, which this doesn't have to be capitalized. I don't even know why it was, but it doesn't make a difference either way. src for source equals box / bulldozer.js. And again, we're going to look at the JavaScript file last, and I named it Bulldozer for no reason other than I just felt like calling it Bulldozer. Okay, so there's everything in the head. The link for the shortcut icon, the little smiley face, the link for the CSS style sheet, which we'll look at here shortly, and the link for the JavaScript, which we'll look at last. Alright, so I'm going to close up the head and get that code out of my way. In line 13, I have body on load equals load my stuff. So we're going to call the load my stuff function, which we will look at last. Alright, so now that we're in the body, and the body starts at line 13, goes all the way to the end, line 196, right before the closing HTML. We have a table. So here's our opening table tag, and the table has a row. There's one row from line 16 to 27 is the first table row. In the row we have a TH, which stands for table header. In that header we have input, type equals button, ID equals save button, value equals save it, and on click equals save my stuff. So when we click this save it button right here that has the lime green save it font on it, when we click that, we're going to call the save my stuff function. So far we have a load my stuff function that we're going to look at in the JavaScript file last, and we have a save my stuff function that we'll look at last, and in the other button we have a remove my stuff. That button underneath the save it button, input, type equals button, ID equals remove button, value equals remove all, and onClick equals remove my stuff. Okay, so then we close up our table header tag because that's the only thing we wanted in that table header was 2 buttons. So we're done with that. After that, we have more headers next to it. We have a header with nothing but the word 1 inside, which you could see right here. The next table header has a word 2 inside. The next table header is 3 inside. Next table header is a 4 inside. And then you finish up your table row. So that's everything from the left to the right of that table row. Let's go to the next table row, which starts at line 30. To line 52. Okay, so the first thing we have in the next table row is we have a table header, and inside of the table header we have a div. The div has a class equals the letter Z, because in my CSS style sheet I have class Z with special styles, and that allows us to have this little yellow rectangle with a ridged border, and it's kind of on a diagonal plane. So when we get to the CSS style sheet, you'll see what specifications I gave class Z. And inside of the opening and closing div tags, I just simply have the word Sunday. If I had the word Sunday with a bunch of Z's attached to it, that's what happened. See, just to let you know. I'm going to take those Z's out and refresh Notepad++ and refresh the page. Okay, so after the TH, we have a TD, which is table data cell, and the only thing inside of the first table data cell is a text area. This first text area right here has an ID set to job 1, and then you close up your text area tag, and then you close up your TD. The second table data cell is really a copy and paste. The only thing that's different is we've changed it from ID job 1 to ID equal to job 2. So there's that next table data cell. There's the third table data cell with the text area ID equal job 3, close text area. And here's the last table data cell in that row. TD inside text area ID equals job 4 and text area end TD end TR. So that's that table row. Now really, this whole table row, this whole thing, can be copied and pasted to give us the Monday row, and then all you have to do, see, and this goes from here to here, from 56 to 78. If you just copy and paste what I just showed you, then all you have to do is change it from Sunday to Monday in here, and then make sure that these job IDs are unique. The first set was job 1 to job 5, so you want the second set to be the first set was job 1 to job 4, and the second set you want to be job 5 to job 8. Then you can copy this whole thing and paste it here for the Tuesday row, which starts at line 80 and goes to 101. So you copy and paste that here, and then change the name, the day of the week from Monday to Tuesday, and make sure that the job ID is job 9 through job 12. Copy and paste it again to give you your Wednesday row. Same stuff. Copy and paste is great. You just make a few changes. Change Wednesday and change the job numbers, the ID job numbers. Do the same thing for Thursday. Takes us from 126 to 147 on my code. Again, change this to Thursday and make sure the job is job 17 to job 20. We're almost done with the HTML. Here's our Friday. Everything inside is a lot of repeating stuff. Here's Saturday. Table row, table row with a table header, a div with a class of Z, table data cells with text areas inside, unique job numbers, IDs set to unique job numbers. And then you end your table tag, your ending body tag, and ending HTML. That's everything for the HTML file. Now let's look at the style sheet. For my style sheet, I set my body to a margin 0 pixels, padding 0 pixels, and a background color of gray. For my table, I gave it a border of thick black solid, a border collapse of collapse, and a margin of auto. For the TH and TD, which both stand for table header and table data cell, those elements got a border of thick black solid and a width of 20%. Then I gave my TH, which is my table header tag, its own different background color. The TD and TH initially are white, but when I give TH its background color of tan, that's where this comes in. These 1, 2, 3, and 4 are THs, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are all THs as well. Now this IMG doesn't really matter. I didn't use an image for this project, so you can discard this. Okay, so here's that special style I was telling you about. Actually, this is Class C. If I go back to the HTML, that's right here. In that table header, we've got a div that has a Class C, and then for every day of the week, that Class C is what's given us this kind of diagonal rectangle with the day of the week in it. So let's go back and look at how we did that. For Class Z, we gave it a font size of 20 pixels, a text align of center, a background color of yellow. Now for Internet Explorer 9 and up, we have a -ms-transform set to rotate, and in parentheses we have -10 degrees. For Chrome, Safari, and Opera, we have this style to do the exact same thing. -WebKit-transform is set to rotate, parentheses -10 degrees. And then we have just plain old transform set to rotate, parentheses -10 degrees. And then the last things that we have is a border of thick tan ridge and a margin of 3 pixels. So all of these styles are what create the little diagonal rectangle. Can't believe I couldn't say that. All right, we're almost done with CSS style sheet. For the text area is all these things in the table data cells that you can type into. They all have a height of 85 pixels and a width of 100%. They have a resize set to none and a background color of white. All right, then for our two buttons, which have IDs of Save Button and ID of Remove Button, those two buttons have the styles of background color green, width 100%, border 5 pixels, green outset. And then those are styles that those two buttons share, but they each have their unique color. So for the Save button, we gave it color lime, so the Save It here on the face is nice and bright. And then for the Remove button, ID Remove button, pound Remove button, we gave it a color of tan. Okay, so that's everything in the CSS style sheet that styles our HTML page elements. Now let's look at the JavaScript. Okay, so again, I told you we have I think we've got 3 functions. We have a function for Save My Stuff, and it goes from line 1 to line 12. We have another function called function Load My Stuff. That goes from line 16 to line 27. And then finally we have a third function called function Remove My Stuff. that goes from line 31 to line 42. So let's look at the function save my stuff. Function save my stuff. There's no parameter, so the parentheses is empty. Our opening curly brace. The first thing that we do when we call this function is we have a for loop. So we have for, and then in parentheses we've got our standard for loop stuff. Var I equals 1. So I set the iteration variable to 1 instead of 0, and my condition is I less than or equal to 28. As long as I is less than or equal to 28, we're going to keep looping this that many times. And I plus plus means we're going to increment I by 1. Each time we finish with a loop, whatever the value of I is going to bump up by 1. So it starts off at 1, then it turns into 2, then it turns into 3, and so on and so forth until it's 28. And then when it becomes 29, this condition will be false and we will jump out of this loop. This loop goes from here to here. And what the loop does, here's the first statement. Actually, I'm going to read both of these statements. Both of these statements are what helps save our stuff to local storage. First off, I have var value equals document.getElementById, and in parentheses I've got job in single quotes plus I dot value. So what that does is, if I go back to my HTML page, see the jobs here? The IDs, I mean. ID equals job 1. Well, we're going to use our iteration variable, the letter I. It starts off as 1, and each time we pass through the loop, it turns into 2. It turns into 2, and then it turns into 3, and so on and so forth, and all the way until it reaches 28, which is our last one. And once that I is 29, it's going to be out of the range that we're looking for, and it'll jump out of the loop. So this is going to guarantee that we satisfy iterating over each and every one of these table data cells. Okay, so back to the style. I'm sorry, back to the JavaScript. So the first thing is using the getElementById job plus whatever the iteration value is. Dot value means whatever's in the value of this text area. This text area has an ID of job 1. Whatever happens to be in here is the value, and then we're going to put that into this variable called named value. The second statement that's going to help us save our stuff is we have local storage dot set item, and then in parentheses we're going to put our key value pairs. Here we have key in quotes plus I. Again, we're using the iteration value, which initially is 1, so we're looking for key 1 to be set to value, and value is going to be whatever job 1, whatever the contents of job 1 text area is. Alright, so we've done those two. These are the most important parts to do the saving. Now I have an if condition. If parentheses value, this is wanting to know if there is a value. Is it true that there's a value? If there is a value in any of these text areas, then if that's true, then what happens is what's in these curly braces will execute. If there is not a value in any of these table data cells text areas, like there's going to be a bunch of them that'll be blank, then if value will be false, and it won't worry about wasting its time with these two statements. It'll just ignore them, and this will be done. But if there is a value in one of the text areas, then these two statements will execute. The first one is document.getElementById. In parentheses, we've got job quoted plus I for whatever the value of the I iteration variable is, .style.color equals red. Now, again, this is what I was telling you. In Firefox, it did actually change the color of the text to red, but in Chrome it didn't. And so I'm not going to worry about it right now, but maybe I just have to change some little part of the code to make it cross-browser compatible so that it works that same way in the other browsers that I test it. After it turns the text red, then we get the alert that pops up, and in the parentheses for the alert, we have the string hi iteration plus I plus, so we're going to concatenate the value of whatever the iteration variable is at the time. When it first starts, it's going to be 1, so hi iteration 1, and then we're going to concatenate another string that consists of a space, a colon, and a space, and it's enclosed in the double quotes, which represents a string, plus our variable value, whatever value is. So up here, when we use the document.getElementById job plus I.value on the right-hand side of the equal, again, that's if something is typed in the text area here or in any of them, that's going to go in the variable value. So the alert box is going to say hi iteration 1 plus whatever I typed in there, or hi iteration 14 plus whatever value is in the table data cell that houses the text area with the ID of 14, or whatever the case may be. Okay, so then here's the end of that if condition. Here's the end of the for loop, and here's the end of the function. So with all that, we have finished function save my stuff. Function load my stuff and function remove, they're both very similar as far as we're using the same exact for loop inside. So let's just quickly go over this. Like I said, it's very similar. Function load my stuff, and then we have the for loop. For var I equals 1, colon, I less than or equal 28, colon, I plus plus. Now inside of the curly braces for the for loop, this is the important part for it to load. When you close out of your browser and you reload the page, we want to make sure that local storage has saved values. So on the right hand side of the equal sign, we have local storage.getItem, and then in parentheses we have key in single quotes plus I. So by using the particular key, we can get the value, whatever value belongs to that key value pair. We're going to get it, and we're going to assign it with this single equals to the variable called stored value. So again, that is var stored value equals local storage.getItem parentheses key in quotes plus I. Now we're doing an if condition. It's for the same purpose that the if value was up here. It's a Boolean. If stored value, if there is something in stored value that's true, when we load the page, we're going to do these two statements. Document.getElementById parentheses job in quotes plus I dot value equals stored value, and document.getElementById parentheses job in single quotes plus I dot style dot color equals blue. If you don't care about changing the color, you can get rid of this second statement, but you have to have if stored value document.getElementById job plus I dot value equals stored value. You have to have that in your load my stuff function in order for your local storage to work. So that ends our if condition. This ends the for loop, and this ends the load my stuff function. So that was pretty quick. And let's look at the last one. Alright, this is our function remove my stuff. And again, we're going to use a for loop, the same exact for loop. Function remove my stuff. First statement is var choice equals confirm, parentheses the string, are you sure? So on the right hand side of the equals, we have a confirm box. An alert box just gives you an OK. A confirm box gives you, I think, what is it, OK and cancel? And inside of the parentheses, we have the string, are you sure? And that's going to show up on your confirm box. So on the right hand side, confirm, are you sure? Whether you choose the OK or cancel, whichever choice you make, is going to go into this variable called choice. And because this is kind of like a Boolean thing, when we get down to this next line of code that's an if condition, you have if parentheses choice equals true. And in this case, we're not assigning with an equals, we're looking for equality. So you have to make that the double equals. So if choice double equals true, which means that you clicked OK on the confirm, if that's true, then everything in here will execute. So if you said OK that you do want to remove your stuff, then we're going to use our handy dandy for loop. For var I equals 1, I less than or equal to 28, I plus plus, because we want to iterate through each and every one of these table data cells text areas. And inside of the for loop, we have two statements. The first statement is document.getElementById, and in parentheses we have job in quotes plus I dot value equals an empty string. And we just have single quotes. You could use double quotes, but this is single quotes to indicate an empty string. And the statement is ended with a semicolon. The second statement is local storage dot remove item parentheses key in quotes plus I. And so those are the two things that will remove everything. And so there's the end of our for loop, and this is the end of the if condition. Now, if you decide you changed your mind and you don't want to remove everything, when the confirm box pops up and it says, are you sure? Let's say you click cancel. Well, that's where the else comes in. If this condition is false, it will ignore all of this and it will go to the else and it will execute what's in the else's curly braces. So if you change your mind and you don't want to erase everything, we have else alert parentheses the string no changes were made. And then you close up your parentheses and you make sure that you put all of that for the else in its curly braces. And then this very last closing curly brace ends your remove my stuff function. So none of it was really too hard. Just getting into taking advantage of loops and local storage.